Halo, halo, dzień dobry. Witam bardzo serdecznie wszystkich oglądających. Słuchajcie na YouTube, oglądamy sobie update do POE 1, bo będziemy grać ligę na pewno. Szczególnie, że teraz się dużo nie dzieje, a fajnie byłoby wrócić do 20-godzinnych streamów.
So you'll be able to claim your Abyssal Soul Shatter rare finisher effect by following the instructions below.
Okej.
Let's not keep you waiting though. Roll the trailer for Path of Exile, Curse of the Allflame.
Yo YouTube, yo gruby guru, elo, elo.
The Allflame calls us to the sea.
Oho,
To a lost
to ładny
realm
efekt bardzo.
that still draws ghostly breath. A curse down below. With my lanterns, we can explore the sea floor.
Jaki myśmy sobie buildem zagrali? Kurwa, flickerem, bo w POE 2 tak bardzo mi brakuje flickera. Czy znowu flicker na efemerale? Efemeral był
Somewhere in the blackest depths.
chuj drogi teraz, prawda? A do tego jeszcze rezolot technik go skoraptować, czy ja pierdolę. Ja wiem co, a może jakimś custom krytem takim fajnym? RF zajebisty. A może kurwa RF-em jest zagrał? Allflame crafting. Oho! Wybierasz jeden, czy... Wszystkie masz? Abys dostał reworka. Boss fight dwójki POE przeniesiony. Legion improve. Mercenary, ale poczekaj. Z Liga Mercenary wraca normalnie po prostu do gierki. Nowe unikaty. Jaki ładny. Ascendancy class?
Come find your fortune in the depths of the sea.
A co myślicie, że... Ty, to jest za 2 tygodnie, ale zajebiście. Ale co myślicie, że oni wracają po prostu
Today's
tak?
stream will be walking you through all the details of Path of Exile, Curse of the Allflame, where you'll comb the ocean floor discovering sunken artifacts of forgotten origins. Fight the
Normalnie.
horrors of the deep and do your best to keep
częścią
from being crushed by
gameplayu?
the waters
Merce?
above you. We're revisiting some familiar mechanics to bring new life to systems that have begun, perhaps, to show
Jest
their age.
tydzień. A dobra,
Abyss and
kurwa,
Legion will both be
początek
receiving
tygodnia.
significant upgrades, including a new pinnacle boss for Abyss
Dobry wieczór,
and a
siema,
new chase
kola,
crafting
selo.
system for unique items in Legion. In addition to revamps of the existing leagues, though,
Dobra, nowy
we're also
crafting
bringing
ja
back
wam
some old
przewiduję.
friends.
Będzie to
The
samo, co
Mercenaries of
było
Trarthus are making their way back to Rayclass.
w grobach. Na początku
Then we'll
ludzie
explain our
skurwią,
new
że
endgame
chujnie, że się
system.
nic nie dzieje,
We'll
później
join
okaże
Kiszak
się,
in
że
investigating
turbo potężne
anomalies
itemy
appearing on
tym
the
ludzie
Atlas.
krawcą po 3 dniach.
After that, we'll discuss the character and skill balance coming in Curse of the Allflame. Finally, we'll cover our new set of supporter packs, after which we'll have a live Q&A session where Ziggy D will interview Path of Exile's game director Mark, as well as game designers Octavian and Andrew, answering your questions from Twitch chat. After the live stream, we'll drop the full patch notes at 11 AM NZT. So let's get started. I'll hand things over to Mark to introduce the new league.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile. In Path of Exile, Curse of the Allflame, a long
Czyli są
forgotten mystery has
równolegle i
begun
POE
to
1 i
stir
POE 2
beneath
game
Rayclass
dyrektorami.
seas.
Ciekawe jestem, czy to jest
Hidden in
zdrowe
the
w
icy
sumie.
depths lie strange
Bo z
and
jednej
immensely
strony nie
powerful
mogą
treasures,
przyciągać pomysły z
waiting for
jednego do
those bold
drugiego,
enough to
widząc co
claim
działa, widząc co nie działa.
Meet
Nie wiem, czy z
Valerie,
drugiej strony
a dangerous
te teamy się
corsair
nie powinny
captain
delikatnie
who needs boots
różnić,
on the
ale
ground
nadal żyć w
and on the sea
symbiozie.
floor to help her retrieve
Wiecie, co
these
mi chodzi?
treasures and unlock their potential. This is where you come in, to help her find the charts scattered across Rayclass. Then, use those to guide her ship to the patch
Gra i
of
Pad
brine
Wheels w
that
dwójkę,
holds
kolejny
loot for the
sezon.
taking. In return, you'll get a
Jonathan
cut
jest
of the
przy POE 1.
profits.
Okej, dobra.
These lost charts are guarded by the undead, rival corsairs, or horrible creatures of the deep.
Fajnie mechanika, że stoją
Each of
moby
these
po
monster
prostu na
encounters
mapie.
will also have a custom
Zajebiście.
bonus for defeating the enemies. For example, successfully defeating the
Uwielbiam
accursed
takie
undead
mechaniki.
that guard this treasure chest will
Klikasz,
cause the
wylatują
grateful
moby, elo.
trapped soul inside to grant you its power, possessing you and granting you ghastly power for the rest of the area. Once a chart is in hand, you'll board the good ship, the Sovereign. Valerie, or Val's, reappropriated Oriathan naval
Zacząć.
vessel.
Odpal grę i graj. POE 2
Here,
ma na tyle
Val
dobry
introduces
próg
you to the
wejścia,
heart and soul of her ship,
że nic nie musisz
Quite
wcześniej
literally.
sprawdzać, uwierz mi.
Vesper. Another Pondium native like Val is bound to this ship. his soul burns with the Allflame's curse, and were his comatose body to be removed from the ship, he would surely die. The silvery apparatus that lines the bows and eaves of the vessel allow him to steer the Sovereign anywhere in Rayclast's waters.
Chyba
Using
piraci
the
z
chart
Karaibów
you've
rewatchowali,
brought,
tak jak ja.
Vesper can navigate to a location so you can scout it for Val, and while doing so, claim whatever treasures there might be. How, though, will you avoid a watery grave once sunk below? Vesper controls a
Ja to
spark
będzie
of the
połączone z
Allflame,
Atlasem?
a
Czy
powerful
to
and
będzie
mysterious
jak
magic,
Delve?
which has been imbued into a number of devices aboard the ship. Chief among them, the bathysphere. This entirely safe and well-tested contraption
znowu
of
daje
rivets,
feeling taki,
bolts and metal will be your ticket
Jakby
beneath
znowu
the
w POE
waves
1
to
testowali coś, co
explore
chcą
and
dać do
plunder.
dwójki.
While scouting the depths, in order to not need an ample supply of air, we're instead going to place Allflame lanterns. These are conduits of the power that keeps Vesper alive and bound to the ship, and give you the temporary safety you need to do that exploring. Without them, you will drown. The first of these is strapped to the bathysphere and activates on landing, rushing the water away to reveal horrifying monstrosities, lost treasures, and a strange,
A
luminous
zobaczcie, jaka to jest
coral
mała, ciasna
growing from the
mapka, bardzo
corrupted dead in
przyjemna
the
do
oceans of
czyszczenia,
Rayclast.
na dużo
These
buildu.
strange growths are the real reason Val has asked you to plumb these waters, as the coral can be broken down into dead man sulfur, the fuel that keeps Vesper's light burning. As you get to the perimeter of the safety provided by an Allflame lantern, Val will drop more down at your request. There's also an option available to have new lanterns fired automatically for you as soon as you need them, if you prefer speed over fine control.
Zajebiste.
Explore and claim what you can while you can. Lost fortunes of gold, chests of valuables, and lurking threats all lie in wait for you
No
beneath the
ciekawy jestem,
waves.
czy to będzie...
You
I co,
might
6
even
latarni
find
miałeś
the odd
położyć,
lost
tak?
missive, waylaid on its travel to its intended recipient. But hey, finders keepers, right? Beware though,
kurwa,
as
widzieliście,
Vesper can
jaki tam
only
był
power
efekt
so many
ciekawy?
lanterns at once, and that power is finite. On placing the last of your lanterns, they will begin, one by one, to flicker and fade, and the creatures of the deep will rush in as they sense the vanishing of the light.
Pa, Fortnite!
You'll have to rush back to the safety of the bathysphere, escaping the
chłopaki,
cold
zdolniście
clutches of
z
creatures
mniejsza?
that despise the light you bring.
Strefa, strefa!
You'll want to place every lantern though, as exploring to collect enough dead man sulfur is the
Zajebiste.
only way to
Jak
successfully
tym,
chart the area for
jak
the
się
next
ta
step.
krasnalak
Planning
nazywała
a
gierka?
voyage. Val will keep
Deep
a
Red
record of
Galactic
the areas
Survivor.
you've charted, storing details in her journals. Once you've charted enough areas, just talk to Val,
Pa,
place your charts on Val's board,
układasz, czarcik.
connect them together, and create one giant seafloor excursion. Each area you chart will reveal a special modifier that applies when it is used as part of a voyage, applied to either the charts adjacent to it or the whole voyage. Here are a few
Area contains
examples.
friendly jellyfish, czyli
This
będzie to samo
modifier
jak
causes
żaby, tak?
all
Że będą
equipment
na
dropped by
przykład
monsters in
dropiły
adjacent
takie
charts
rzeczy.
to be converted to gold. This modifier will spawn friendly jellyfish alongside every pack of monsters in your voyage,
A to jest w ogóle
which you
friendly.
will promptly slaughter for extra loot and
A
experience,
nie,
we're sure.
jednak jest też to zniszczenie.
This modifier causes all monsters in adjacent charts to be empowered by wildwood wisps. With 9 positions on your board for charts when constructing a voyage, these can stack up fast. There are also charts which can take you to specially rewarding areas of the ocean floor. Fields of anchors strewn with treasure chests full of loot, Kalguran shipments lost at sea, and sunken abyssal pits teeming with monsters, to name just a few. There are even some ancient artifacts you might find
Ej,
and
możemy sobie na
resurface.
jakiś kurwa...
Additionally, the edges of the
Burning
voyage
Knives
board
zagrał
track the
takiego-
currents of corruption flowing through the waters of Rayclast, with randomized effects being rolled with each new voyage to affect the charts placed adjacent to them.
O kurwa.
These add even further rewards to your
Ile to jest
voyages,
myślenia.
and can shake up the way you choose to place your charts. Stack all of that together, and a well-planned voyage, with a bit of luck, can be a very profitable endeavor. But with so much loot to claim, how are you going to get it all to the surface? Val has a solution for just that problem. In each of the charts that comprise your voyage, there will be a capsule waiting for you, sent down by Val, which can store about an inventory worth of loot. Stuff these full, send Val a signal, and she will pull it back up to the surface, safe and sound.
Jak w Torchlightie.
Since voyages are built of 9 charts,
Peta się
that's a
wysyła do
lot of
miasta.
opportunities to send back plenty of valuables. Once you're satisfied with the plunder from your well-planned voyage, find any of these capsule locations and call the bathysphere to it as your ticket out. Val will send it down to your rescue, as fast as she can. You just need to survive until it gets there. Good luck! Once you do, don't forget to empty all those capsules full of loot. Now, back to all that dead man silver that you've been hard at work gathering. Is that just to keep the sovereign afloat and Vesper alight? No, it's not. Once you've got a bunch of it, head below decks, and you'll find the heart of the ship at work. Whilst Vesper's body remains above deck, burning away in a contraption of tarnished pipes and corpse-stained glass, resides Vesper's soul, and you'll find him to be a pretty crafty fellow, if a bit melancholy. That's where this league's item crafting system comes into play. Give Vesper an item, alongside a currency that you could normally use on that item, and an ample supply of Dead Man's Sulfur. That item is then split into a multitude of ghostly forms, each of which will be the result of having applied that currency to the original item.
Ja pierdolę!
You can then pick which of the ghostly outcomes you like best to keep for yourself. The others will go up in
To jest
smoke,
trochę jak
as Vesper
crafting
can only reify a single
dwójce,
outcome.
tym kurwa, jak to się
This
nazywa?
can be done with almost any crafting step you'd like. Want to see a few
Spinami
outcomes
i
for that
rybsami.
influenced Exalted Orb?
No?
Perhaps you've got a
Ale
particularly
to raz
expensive
można
fossil
zrobić na
combination
itemie?
you want to get maximum value out of.
Fossila też można wpierdolić.
Do be wary though, as the more potent the craft, the more sulfur Vesper will require to see it done. That's not all, however, as the sea floor hides some yet undiscovered potential in the form of rare and valuable ducats. These can be consumed by Vesper to warp and twist items in ways not seen in centuries, such as Kishara's Ducat, which creates 4 ghostly copies of an item, each of which will keep 1 mod from the original, perfect for creating powerful crafting bases.
Ja pierdolę, to dobre w chuj. Pa. Ty,
The
a nie,
Gentile's
teraz to
Ducat,
możesz robić.
which can solve item or gem requirement problems by changing one attribute to another.
Ja pierdolę, ale zajebiste.
And Brine Hook's Ducat, with which you can become an emissary of the gods of Rayclast. Who knows what these aspects might do? These Ducats come from special types of charts, so keep an eye out for them on your travels throughout Rayclast. You may even find some that lead you to notably unwelcoming waters.
Minione. Ty lubisz grać chyba, nie? Pod
So that
minione.
covers
A
the
może
new league.
zagra pod
And for
minione?
the first time in Path of Exile, we're finally going under the sea. Some might even say this is the first real boat league.
W jedynce.
But that's not all. Not even close. Next up, we've got an old favorite making a return. The Mercenaries of Trarthus are once again roaming
No, takie
Rayclast,
perfect
looking for
itemy, to na
hapless
pewno to
fools to
łatwiej
duel.
craftować.
Mercenaries will start
Nawet
appearing
nie
from Act
perfect,
3
stary,
and
wiesz,
Sun.
że ty sobie masz
Before beginning a
Hexa
duel,
normalnie
you'll be offered
pierdalność
an overview
bezpiecznie
of
w
the mercenary
itemie.
you've
Po
encountered.
po 1.
Here, you can see the gear they have equipped and the skills they employ.
Ja nie grałem
As
ligi z
per the
mercami.
Trarthan code, you have the right to wager for an item the mercenary is carrying. You'll stake some of your gold, and the duel commences.
O kurwa. Pa, PvP.
If you lose, you forfeit the levied
A zaczniemy
gold,
się leczyć?
and the mercenary will teleport out, repulsed at such a poor display. Win, however, and to the victor will go the spoils. In addition,
Stary, to
if
jest
you
3
win the
ileś,
duel,
to jest
the
jedynka.
mercenary will aid you as an ally for a number of areas. Trarthan mercenaries are powerful allies to have in
Aha,
Rayclast,
dobra, czyli to jest taka
assisting in a
mechanika, że nie
number
masz
of
ich na
ways.
stałe, tylko na
Some
kilka.
mercenaries can
Dobra,
provide you with
dobra.
powerful auras and buffs, while other mercenaries can do all the killing for you. While in map areas, if you don't like anything the mercenary offers, you have the ability to request their warrant. A warrant is a promise to return and duel again at a later date. A call to action that calls that specific mercenary to a future map.
O,
With the
widzisz.
same set of skills, but a new set of items.
O, widzisz.
A mercenary will only grant their warrant once, however, preventing you from fighting that mercenary in every single area. Warrants also allow you to trade specific mercenaries to other players.
Właśnie, kurwa. Ale
It is
można go w
important to note
kółko
that
cały czas
unlike in
zatrudniać?
Mercenaries of Trarthus League,
No chyba
having a
tak.
mercenary does not count as a player party member. So having a mercenary does not increase monster life or the quantity and rarity of items dropped from monsters. Given that, you may be wondering, but what if I really like a mercenary I found? They have a great personality
kup,
and
kurwa.
powerful skills. Is there really no way I can keep them as an ally permanently? Well, you can, but only if you are a Scion. For the second time in 6 months, the Scion is getting a new ascendancy class.
Sajonka
The Luminary.
ascendancję, dlatego że aura botem
The
była.
Luminary is a natural leader, lighting the way
O
for others to follow.
kurwa.
Becoming a Luminary immediately lets them allocate the Noble
Ty,
Blood
build pod
passive,
Merca. Build
allowing
pod...
them
Ej, ja
to
to robię.
permanently hire any
Build
mercenary
pod
they find
Samona,
in
kurwa.
Rayclast.
Normalnie
Luminaries
jeden
can
ring
have
drama,
up to 3
wraca, stary.
permanently hired mercenaries.
Ty jesteś
2 in
słaby, ale
reserve in
Samon
towns
jest
and
musimy.
hideouts, and 1 as an active ally in combat. Unlike with regular mercenaries, you can change the items permanently
I
hired
stary, nic nie
mercenaries have
robisz,
equipped,
biegasz jak aura, bo...
opening up innumerate
Nie, no
potential
jak
build
chuj, to jest build
possibilities.
kurwa bez przycisków.
By default, permanently hired mercenaries cannot be equipped with unique items. But these passives enable them to equip specific types of
O
uniques.
chuj.
While the legendary arms passive empowers mercenaries that have many different unique items equipped.
Pa.
Luminaries have the flexibility of becoming a support character to their mercenary, or having their mercenary support them. The Oath of Fealty and Golden Glory passives empower your mercenary by using your link skills on them. The Loyal Bodyguard and Bestowed Knighthood passives enable your mercenary to protect you in combat, as well as enhancing their aura skills. As with any old league that we add to the core game, we have added full Atlas Tree and Scarab support. Here are just a few examples. These passives allow you to much more easily target the specific types of mercenaries you want showing up in your maps. The Loot and Pillage passive gives mercenaries a chance to drop all their items when defeated, instead of just the one you selected. The Trarthan Scarab of Renown makes it so the spawned mercenary is covered head to tail in unique items. And the Trarthan Scarab of Infamy forces a more powerful, infamous mercenary to spawn, accompanied by 2 other mercenaries for a truly unfair duel.
No.
Unfair for them.
Też bym chciał. Nawet gatewaye by
There's
wystarczyło, a
even
nie
a few
środek drzewka.
entirely new mercenary types, one of which is found exclusively on the
No i na
seafloor
Templara
in
czekam,
rare
bo ta
Curse of the
tarcza, na
Allflame
której ostatnio
encounters.
grałem, była zajebista.
Sellswords of Trarthus
Tylko
won't be
tam
the
jest
whole of
potrzebny
your problems
Templar,
in
żeby
329,
wyciągnąć
however,
ją w pełni.
as the denizens of the Lightless are getting some much needed updates with the modernization and rework of Abyss. When we brought Abyss over to Path of Exile 2 and Rise of the Abyssal, some functional changes to the mechanic were made to improve the gameplay significantly. In Curse of the Allflame, the majority of those changes will be making their way back to Path of Exile 1. The existing Abyss content had some notable problems. Aside from being very dated, it also required the player to follow a crack as it opens, often backtracking throughout already cleared areas. Now, as you approach an abyssal pit, and the cracks leading
Ty,
up
a
to it,
fischery
you will
przychodzą
find that
przez
it is
Abyssa w
already
POE
open
1?
and spilling forth abyssal
To
energy into
dwójce
the
jest tylko tak
surrounding area,
zjebany Abyss?
subjugating the souls of
normalnie,
enemies
kurwa.
unlucky enough to be within its
Chyba,
influence.
że to nie jest liczone jako fisher ten skill.
Slaying these enemies will send those souls spiraling down into the pit, drawing the attention and ire of the minions of Kulamark that dwell beneath. Slay enough of them, and the Abyssal Legion will spill forth from their domain to tear you apart. The upshot of this rework is twofold. Firstly, there is now much more visceral feedback in the moment-to-moment gameplay of Abyss, with
nie lubię
audio
tego
and visual
meteora.
cues drawing the player
POE
along.
1 bardzo. W momencie
And
się
most
levelowało,
important,
nie? Na tym,
you'll
że to
never
bardzo
need to
silne
chase
kurwa
a
było.
meandering abyssal crack around a map ever
Bo na
again.
Stekera się nie
No
levelowało
more
tym
backtracking.
wcześniej?
However, be on your guard, The Abyssal minions of Kulamak have some different tricks up their sleeves in PoE 1, and many employ entirely different skills to those of their PoE 2 counterparts. To be clear, there are still some aspects of the existing Abyssal system that we will be keeping. Abyssal jewels and items with Abyssal sockets will remain. In fact, we have given Abyss a similar treatment to what we did with Dell fossils in our last release, moving Abyssal rewards out of other areas of the game to make Abyss the exclusive source of Abyssal jewels and Stygian vices. This will also come with a complete refresh of Abyssal scarabs and Atlas passive tree investment, with some truly dangerous and wild new ways to take on the Lightless Hordes.
Nie? W jedynce.
Lastly for Abyss, but definitely not
Go
least,
bardzo lubię. On mnie
Abyss
przerażał
is
na
bringing an
początku, ale go
entirely
finalnie
new
polubiłem
in-game
w chuj.
pinnacle boss, with its own set of brand new unique items.
W ogóle jakie ładne ikonki.
This boss has a very unique way of accessing it. What does this eyeball do? Good luck figuring this one out.
Oho, Ubery! Pa.
Let's move on to our next league being
Jak
reworked,
w D2.
Legion. Every league should have distinct and interesting rewards that are
To oni są
exclusively
jakieś
available from that
sponsorowani,
mechanic.
kurwa, przez Adidasa,
This allows
że
players
Jonathan
to
za każdym
specialize in
razem tak
certain corners of the
eksponuje
game,
ci rzemki, które
rewarding those
nosi,
who engage with a given mechanic.
czy ma jakieś dojebane
Legion is
staty
next on
na
our
nich.
list to
I
receive
to
this
jest jakiś
treatment.
świetny craft.
Despite having a unique combat mechanic, we felt Legion didn't have interesting exclusive rewards outside of timeless jewels.
Do niego
While
to Adidas
incubators were
powinien
technically
napisać.
exclusive to Legion,
No pewnie,
they
że Adidas,
effectively
kurwa,
granted
lepszy
the
od
same
Nike.
rewards that you could get elsewhere. So,
Wiele
what are we doing
Adidasa.
about it? Firstly, incubators are being removed. No longer will you have to remember to apply incubators to all your equipment every few maps. Instead, we will be adding a
Ja nie
new
lubię
type of
Legionu.
reward exclusive to
Kennedy
Legion,
Frozen.
the Stygial
Pa.
unique items. Legion generals and maps will have a chance to drop a new type of currency item, enshrouding crystals.
Do tej kobary napisz,
These can
Franku.
be used on your unique armors. You can then take the enshrouded item to the domain of timeless conflict, which might look a little
Ej,
bit
to trochę
different to what you
brzmi,
remember.
kurwa, jak z
A
tego.
giant crystal emerges from the center
Z
of the
Last
domain,
Epocha.
and there appears to be some sort of entity trapped
Jak się to
inside.
nazywało Last Epochu?
Potentially the reason that these armies are engaged in
Coś tam,
eternal
kurwa,
conflict.
to z tą siatką było z
At the
pająkami.
base of the crystal are a number of smaller crystals. Clicking on one allows us to place our enshrouded item inside. As we then kill monsters in the domain of timeless conflict, our gloves within the crystal begin to transform. And once you have killed enough, the crystal becomes volatile and looks ready to fracture. I wonder what will come out. Our Shaper's Touch transformed into a Malagero's Virtuosity. But now, the Malagero's Virtuosity has a trace of the original
Ja
enshrouded item
pierdolę, coś
bestowed
to jest z
upon it,
tego.
in the form
Ale on
of
tam
a
też wrzucił
vestigial implicit
Maligaro? To jest
modifier.
ten sam item po
As
prostu
you can
z
see,
nowym...
enshrouding crystals allow you to transfer
tym.
powerful modifiers from one unique item onto another.
Dobre, kurwa.
Here are some more examples of vestigial unique items. Helmets, boots, gloves,
Ty, tam były jakieś movement speed na
Shields.
butach. Elemental East,
and
Sonic Quick.
body armors.
Jezu, physical damage
In
taken
addition
as
to
fire,
vestigial
kurwa.
items, we are also making a number of small improvements to Legion.
To RF-y,
You no longer need to kill every
Chyba gotują,
last
jak to
monster
widzą.
to begin the Legion encounter.
te konwerty OP,
Breaking
nie?
out
Są
all
w
the key
jedynce.
monsters, chests, and the majority of monsters will be enough
Warto
to
coś
start
na
the
POE
combat
2? No,
automatically.
uwielbiam POE 2, no ale na
No
pewno
more
jestem mniej
cheeky single
kontentu.
monster hiding in the corner, preventing your encounter from starting.
W ogóle się świetnie robiło challenge w POE 2
Legion monsters
ostatnio.
drop fewer splinters,
Muszę
but
porobić
in
jeszcze
larger
jakieś
stack
challenge do POE
sizes,
2.
resulting in fewer clicks in each encounter. Unrelenting timeless emblems have been removed, with regular timeless emblems absorbing many of their effects, causing the domain of timeless conflict to become harder, but more rewarding as you kill monsters. Your reward progress in the domain is now tracked by charging up these small purple crystals, rather than flooding your screen with hundreds of reward icons. The rewards are still the same, just not obscuring your screen with symbols. Talismans were introduced back in 2015, but over the years they've been long neglected and lack a meaningful place or purpose. We are making a number of changes to bring talismans back to relevance. Firstly, talismans are now exclusive rewards from Bestiary. Every red beast has a chance to drop a talisman specific to that beast. For example, the Krashik Croaker can drop the Croaker Talisman. What makes these talismans special? Well, you'll notice a couple of changes compared to old talismans. Firstly, talismans no longer drop corrupted, making them far easier to craft once you find one. Secondly, the special modifiers on talismans are now enchantments, rather than implicits. This means they compete with blight anointments, allowing their effects to be significantly more powerful than before. Here are a few more examples of new talismans. Talisman unique items have all been improved, and now have a chance to drop from all bestiary bosses. Check out the new Eyes of the Great Wolf Talisman, which has some crazy possibilities.
To maximum number of spectres, niezłe. 7
So
do
that is
maximum
everything
fire'a.
covering the new and reworked League mechanics in 329. Now, that's already quite a lot of endgame content, with Mercenaries returning, an upgraded Abyss, Legion's new reward mechanic, and of course, everything the Curse of the Allflame League has to offer. But even with all of that, we're not done. Because what about the Atlas itself? Given Zana's actions to try and destroy it in the last 2 expansions. Zana's actions are causing the Atlas to become ever more destabilized. Strange locations have begun to manifest on the Atlas, many of which seem to be bleeding over from familiar places in Rayclast. Kiszak has labeled these as anomalies. When you complete maps affected by a void stone, there is a chance that when you next open your Atlas, an anomaly may manifest. Like this one, the Mana Foyer. Like regular maps on the Atlas, you can select them at your map device, but unlike regular maps, these don't require an item to enter. It looks like this area is the abode of Cadero Perandus. Cadero is willing to offer valuable items in exchange for our gold. If you don't like what is on offer, you can reject it, and he will immediately offer another item. The next offer will cost more gold, but hopefully is much more valuable to you. If you don't have enough gold for the offered item, don't worry. Cadero is happy to wait for you to replenish your coffers. You can return to the area at any time. The anomaly will not disappear from the Atlas until you either purchase an item or reject all his offers. Anomalies are unique in this regard. Unlike other locations on the Atlas, these areas can often be revisited. Let's quickly run through a few of the anomalies that can manifest. Reflecting Mists and the Nameless Seer no longer randomly spawn within maps, but instead now appear in their own anomaly areas. Scrying is no longer the domain of the Nameless Seer, but instead can be done through the new, tradable Scrying Orb. Some anomalies grant a taste of League mechanics you might not normally run, without having to be fully invested into them. For example, this anomaly creates a random, fully revealed heist blueprint wing, with random rogue companions. This anomaly has a version of the Sacred Grove, where the plants have fully taken over. This strongbox seems to have a strange mechanism. Atlas anomalies are unaffected by your Atlas skill tree, and you can't augment them using any fragments. Therefore, they can be run at any time without feeling like they have to be saved for later to maximize the potential rewards. There are many more Atlas anomalies to discover for yourselves, each of them tied to a specific Atlas quadrant. It is therefore worth discovering which ones can spawn in each part of the Atlas, as it may influence what Atlas strategy you wish to pursue. So that is a heap of new challenges to encounter, from the League and the in-game. But you may be asking, what new tools do we have to face these challenges? In 329, we are giving a bit of love to spellcasters, specifically those that cast spells themselves. But first, let's address the elephant in the room that astute players may have noticed. Yes, I'm talking about those socket colors. So, after the better part of 2 decades, in 329, we're making a fairly radical change.
Kolory wypierdalają.
Sockets, at a basic level, don't have colors anymore. You can now put any colored gem into any socket. We're doing this to address a long-running issue for both new and experienced players.
Bonus, jak będzie
I'm sure almost everyone who has played before has run into the issue of finding a notable upgrade and have struggled to find a way to equip it. Maybe you find an amazing body armor, one that would give you a substantial boost to your defenses. but you just can't move your skill or support gems over because the colors of the sockets just don't match, and you didn't luck out with your chromatic orbs. It's not fun when you have to unequip a bunch of skills or supports just to use a better item. This can still happen with the socket numbers and socket links,
oglądasz, że Kiszak raz zagrać 30 godzin, zrobisz sobie 1/4 Voice'ą, powiesz, że ci się znudziło.
And not only prevented upgrading gear, it limited build experimentation. So, given that, what do the colors on gems with regards to sockets even now mean? Well, the colors on gems for sockets are still relevant, just as an upgrade system.
Bonus, no.
You can still find items with colored sockets, and you can craft them onto items. They are just rarer and more powerful. Most importantly, they don't restrict what can be socketed into them.
Ile widzów bym musiał tak spędzić godzin co sezon, żeby się dobrze bawić?
If you were to find an item with, say, a green socket, you can put a green gem inside of it to get an additional quality bonus to that gem.
Nie, to jest fenomenalna zmiana.
This allows socket colors to be a purely positive outcome on an item, while not just simplifying the system away. You can also still change the color of sockets on your items using a chromatic orb, which now guarantees at least one red, blue, or green socket.
Nie no, musi wejść wreszcie,
This change will make it easier for everyone to upgrade items and maintain their
Wydaje mi się, że musi przejść kurwa to prawo teraz w Parlamencie Europejskim, że ligę w POE to musisz minimum 250 godzin zajebać, bo coraz więcej casuali się pcha do gry.
Spellcasters have a large number of different skills to choose from, but often many skills play and scale in similar ways. We have done a pass through existing spells, differentiating spell damage types from each other. For example, Shadow's physical spells, like Ethereal Knives and Bladefall, now have a much higher critical strike chance than other spells at the expense of damage. Pure Lightning spells now all have generally higher cast speeds, but they cost more mana per second than other spells. We noticed that some of the ascendancy classes for Shadow, Witch, and Templar were lacking options for general spellcasting. So we've added a new notable to the Assassin, the Occultist, and the Inquisitor. We are also introducing a new skill, Mana-Infused Staff, that infuses your staff with arcane energy, raising your block chance and reducing the mana cost of your spells. In addition, when you are hit by an enemy, you retaliate with a wave of arcane lightning, dealing damage based on your maximum mana.
Oh, kurwa,
one of the struggles we noticed with certain self-cast archetypes was that they lacked a scaling option in the endgame. In 329, we're adding a special new set of exceptional skill gems called Pacts. Each pact is themed around a specific Beyond demon and Lycia. You can make a bargain with these demons to empower your spells. But at what cost, you may ask? Well, these spells don't have a typical cost, but instead cause the player to gain a special affliction debuff. Don't worry too much though, the rewards will be worth it. For example, Pact of Baydat causes many of your different spells to just cause a ruckus, while Pact of Gore is for dot builds. Using this pact will plague your enemies. Just cast it and watch everything around you melt. I wonder what Pact of Lycia and Pact of Chcesz do. We won't go into the specifics of all the balance changes we are making here, but there are many more caster improvements, including buffs to specific spells and supports, buffs to caster unique items, as well as more and better ways to solve mana.
Nie no, to przecież zmiany w ligach to są ogromne, stary.
Next up, we're going to be talking about the new supporter packs for Curse of the Allflame. Today, we're launching 2 new series of supporter packs, the Plague and Remedies packs.
Grałem tym jedną ligę, nienawidzę tego buildu.
Pack's full face value in points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way.
Nie no, ja bym sobie zagrał
pod Mercenaries tak series of supporter packs contains 7 exclusive microtransactions. Equipping the Plague weapon skin replaces the default appearance of your staff, sword, mace, or shield with a weapon that has been submerged in corrosive toxins. The Plague Rat Pet is the result of a nefarious experiment. When a unique enemy is nearby, it faints as a defensive mechanism to protect its fragile body so it can continue to spread disease.
Czy
The
planuję grać
metal
w
of
gry
the
na
plague
100%
bearer
platyna?
armor
Nigdy w
set has
życiu.
corroded, and the cloth has begun to disintegrate from being exposed to such toxic elements.
Nigdy, kurwa.
It
w
includes
życiu.
the plague bearer back attachment, which spreads disease across the ground and town areas, maximizing the chance of infection. A diseased swarm infects your weapon when using the plague bearer weapon effect. Use it alongside the erupting pustule's rare finisher effect to spread vile and devastating disease to monsters you kill. Activating the Plague Wraith map device causes the plagued energy to flow from the chained being. Given the goal of spreading such illness is to end the lives of as many as possible, the map device tracks kills in kind, showing you the number of enemies killed in each map, sorted by rarity. Feel free to even pin the count of enemies slain in a map to the leaderboard at your leisure. Pair it with the putrefying portal to fully immerse yourself in the plague propagator experience. Both the map device and the portal emit such a potent putrefaction that even the birds flying overhead cannot survive,
Ja
as they
pierdolę, ja
plummet to
muszę
the
to
ground
kupić.
around it.
Kurwa,
The
mikrotransakcje
Remedies
pod
Pack
jady.
series also contains 7 exclusive microtransactions. The Remedies weapon skin changes the appearance of your staff, wand, scepter, or shield with relics once used by the Order of the Remedies Knights against the plague. The Medi Roa pet is kitted out with all the supplies necessary for healing in remote locations. Strangely, these Roas seem to have a particular fondness for goblin meat. The Remedies Knight armor set is bestowed upon those tasked with traveling through Rayclast to purge the sick of their diseases. The matching back attachment cleanses the disease left behind on the ground in town areas by the Plague Bearer back attachment. It's an important job of a Remedies Knight to not let disease take over. Help by doing your part. The Remedies Knight weapon effect funnels the divine power of purification into your weapon.
Ja teraz o WoWie
Return to the
najbardziej myślę.
Saints End Monastery
Nie,
hideout
dobra, chyba
to
tyle, nie?
recuperate from your purifying
To już
duties.
będzie o
Once a
mikrotransakcjach.
thriving center for curing ailments.
Dobra,
This monastery
to
has
mnie aż tak, słuchajcie, nie interesuje.